Heads up. All right, Joe has given me the high sign that says it is 6 o'clock, so I would like to call us to order. In accordance with South Carolina Code of Laws, 1985, Section 30-4-80-E, the following have been notified of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting: the Herald, the Charlotte Observer, CN2, and WRHI. If I could please ask you all to join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. You have all received a copy of the agenda. On the online version, it appears that there's a 6.02, but there is not actually a 6.02 agenda item, I don't believe. Can you scroll down and make sure that we don't?
It says new agenda item.
Yeah, we don't have a 6.02 that I'm aware of. I think that was just a
Typo.
hangover from the template. So other than that correction, any others to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
All right, then that will stand as approved, and we get to start off our last meeting of the year with some special recognition.
Good evening. Clearly, as I say every time I come to this podium, this is the highlight of our work, honoring children. For the new folks and the public that may not be aware, we typically give special recognition from the school board for national and state winners, and that's what we're doing here tonight. And I'm going to start out with, is a swim coach of Fort Mill High here?
Miss Banner.
See her.
Okay, well then, Zach may have to help me. I'm going to ask, no, that's the wrong, I thought it was a swim. Did I look at it wrong, backstroke? Okay, is the cross-country coach of Fort Mill High here? I got to read better. Come on up and help me then. If you can. My bad.
Yeah, we already did the swim team.
Okay.
But we have another.
Well, we have another one in there somewhere.
Correct.
We're going to ask Alicia Cleveland of Fort Mill High to come forward. She was the South Carolina 2022 5A Girls Individual Cross Country Champion. Let's give her a round of applause.
Front and
pressure.
center.
Very much so. So I think we're making a habit of showing up for these meetings, and I really like that. I'm excited about it. Olivia, as well as all the other athletes we have at Fort Mill, have been a joy to coach. The support of this community, the school board, the school district for what we do is exceptional. We've had, this is the 6th state championship in 4 years that our distance program has had. And, but I'm more proud of the fact that we reach over 120 athletes every year with our program, and we couldn't win state championships or provide a first-class experience for those athletes in those numbers without the support of this community. So thank you very much, and I'm so proud of Olivia and what she's done, and I hope we'll see you again next season.
Mr. Whitaker, do you know how fast her time was? Let her brag for a second. 18:36. That is fantastic. Congratulations.
Now to the swimmers from Nation Forward, the swim coach of Nation Forward here. There you go. Come on up. And while we're at it, let's bring Emily Eaton to the front and Sophia Bujarano. Okay, very good.
Emily's going to be here tonight.
Okay, so I'll let you. Emily was the girls 100-meter freestyle swim champion, and Sophia was the girls 100-meter backstroke champion. That's a tough stroke. So. Oh, okay. All right, so I'll let you talk a little bit about it.
Sounds great.
Let's give her a round of applause.
Well, good evening. I'm Coach Lori Glasgow from Nation Forward.
Just a second.
Fix the
Correction.
certificate.
Yeah, get the certificate, that's right.
This is Emily's.
Yes, so she's Sophia.
I need Sophia.
She's Sophia's. Here, there we go. We got it.
Y'all can tell we practiced it.
Absolutely, I will get that to her for sure. It's been an honor and a privilege to get to work with both Sophia and Emily this season again. Just to kind of give you some information about Sophia, since she's here tonight. She's only a sophomore. She's accomplished some big things, I know, already in her career, and we know that she will continue to improve and grow over the years to come. I just feel like I just wanted to kind of give some highlights, so I hope that's all right. Over her 4 seasons on the team, so she started in 7th grade. This was her sophomore season. She has already been a 12-time All-Region athlete, holds 2 team individual records, and is a 3-time All-State swimmer, and now, as you know, is a 5A state champion in the 100 backstroke. So we are so very proud of her, and we can't wait to see what she has to come. So, thank you.
And last but not least, the Catawba Ridge High School Marching Band were the 2022 South Carolina 4A State Marching Champions. Could the band director come up and help me honor?
I'm Patrick Butler, band director at Catawba Ridge. I brought our drum major and flute section leader here as representative of the students. I don't know if the people outside of Fort Mill know how great they have it here with band. I read an article how many state champions they've had from this tiny community. 3 of the best bands in the entire state are from this small community. The representation that we have at the state level is phenomenal, and I don't know if you understand what it is outside this great band community we have. Thank you for the support you offer. And the seniors, I'm so proud of these seniors. They started a new school from 2 phenomenal band programs. They went through COVID, 2 new band directors. I'm just so proud of these guys. And thank you very much for your support.
Okay, the rest is downhill from there.
Not exactly, because next we've got our school spotlight from Fort Mill Middle School.
Yes, we still have one great highlight for the evening. As you know, our School Spotlight series was started this year just to give a glimpse into some of the great things that are going on in our schools that sometimes those of us who are in the schools, we take for granted. We think it's everyday business, but someone from the outside might not quite see it that way. So we're excited to bring up Fort Mill Middle School, led by Principal Dr. McQuay.
All right, good evening. I have a large group with me. So I'm really proud to speak to you tonight about some of the great things going on at Fort Mill Middle. Most schools come up here and talk a lot about academics, and we're going to talk tonight about something a little different, but it definitely impacts our academics. So we're going to talk about the culture and the climate of our school and the improvements that we've made in that area. As you guys know, when I arrived at Fort Mill Middle School last year, it was in the middle of September, so it was a little odd time to start. And so at that time, I met with every employee in the building one-on-one and talked with each of them. And something that came up over and over and over again was the need to refocus on that family relationship in our building, build those relationships with the students, the families in the community, all the teachers again. And so we've kind of had this motto of refresh, recharge, restart that we've had over the last 2 years. So we decided to make some changes, and so we wanted our students and our staff to feel safe to come to school every day. We wanted them to excited to come in the building every day. And so a lot of the things that we started working on last year, that we are now, every middle school in our district is going through that as a part of our CI3T implementation process, so we're just a little ahead of the game. But our goals in doing all of these changes were to make sure all of our stakeholders had a shared vision, shared beliefs, to increase communication with home, to make sure that we had high expectations and that those expectations were really clear for our students and for our staff and our parents, to reduce our discipline referrals and have kids in class as much as possible, and to improve our attendance, those relationships in the building, and then just to show that mistakes and missteps are just opportunities to learn and grow and not necessarily something that's going to hold you back. So first things that we started to do last year were we took several weeks to redo our mission statement, our beliefs, our core values, and we worked on that with our faculty and then our school improvement council and then our student council. And so there's our core values that we came up with. We also surveyed our students, our faculty, and our parents to pinpoint some needed improvements as I was coming in and just looking at what we needed to work on. And so seeing that that was our greatest area we really needed to tackle first. As a leader, sometimes you just look around you and you say, I'm going to turn this over to you and I'm just going to get out of your way. And so that's what I did. So I asked Mr. Mallory to form a committee, and he brought together some great teacher leaders within our building. And so you're going to hear from them tonight to talk about what all they did to improve our culture.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. McQuay, and to Dr. Wakesness and the board for having us here tonight. As Dr. McQuay referenced, we put together a committee, and we started with our new core values, PRIDE, standing for positivity, respect, integrity, dedication, and engagement. And we began looking for ways to use this to refresh our school in all areas. The committee consists of 10 staff members from every area of the building, and we meet monthly. First, the committee members paired up and researched other middle schools in the district and gathered feedback on what was working at their particular schools. We reviewed Fort Mill Middle School data where possible to begin goal setting in an effort to improve every stakeholder's experience at FMMS. Second, we emphasized intentional relationship building and connections home from day one. We looked for more ways to create opportunities for student ownership and accountability as they progress through middle school and prepare for high school. Throughout tonight's presentation, you're going to hear about some of the positive incentives that we've developed. This led to weekly, monthly, and quarterly incentives in each grade level. You're going to learn about our Pride tickets that were created, similar to some other schools as well in the district. We presented to staff and set a plan to consistently articulate what Pride is through what we call swarm time each day. The first 10 days of school, we invested time breaking apart each letter of the acronym for Pride. So for example, on Monday, the first week of school, we focused specifically on positivity. Each day, staff and students had meaningful discussion, reflection, and activities that related to that day's core value. We did this for the first 10 days, so we kind of reset it over a 2-week period. And next, we set weekly character ed time into our master schedule using a program called Second Step that covers 4 units. The first being mindsets and goals, which we've already completed. We're now in recognizing bullying and harassment. The next 2 units after that are thoughts, emotions, and decisions, and we'll conclude with managing relationships and social conflict. That'll take us pretty much through the end of the school year. And lastly, we connected everything to our One Book, One School and Literacy Day mission this year. And I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Corbin.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for having us. We appreciate that. My name is Dominic Corbin. I'm a special ed teacher at Fort Mill Middle. And in any given year, it's our goal to try to connect with every student. But sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak. And we understand that fair is not always equal, especially when it comes to our time. But we recognize that every student deserves our attention and our praise in this process. So it was imperative for us to make sure that all students know that we hear them and that we see them and that we appreciate them. And so using Pride tickets made us be very intentional about letting students know that we do hear them and that we do see them and that we do recognize what they do every day. And Ms. Clanton is going to talk a little bit about the Pride tickets.
Thank you. So thinking about Mr. Corbin's thoughts, and this kind of sums it up here, this is like the direct quote that we got when we were in our committee meeting right there for us. Thinking about that, our committee began to think about ways that we could show our appreciation to all of our students. And we continue to think about how we could refresh our year. So we started implementing new incentives for our students, like these quarterly celebrations for students who were showing academic and behavioral excellence, weekly free sit opportunities in the cafeteria. That's a big one. And my personal favorite is our Pride tickets. As you can see, this is, we've got a lot of good incentives on there. They also really like the snack or soda during lunch. Big one. The great thing about these is that we can reward those that are doing the right thing all the time, but we can also give it to those ones those squeaky wheels, we catch them being good. So we want to make sure we're positively reinforcing them there. As you can see from these students' faces, Oh, aren't they so cute? You can see that these make a really big impact on them, especially on recharging our culture. And that goes back to what we wanted to do at the beginning of the year. Mrs. Lake, our family and consumer science teacher, couldn't be here tonight, but she does have some great things to share with you about how she took this year's refresh and recharged her classroom with Jacket Pride.
We've had a lot of transition and movement in our area during that time, and we felt like there was a need to recharge our community. We are the flagship middle school of Fort Mill, after all. We know that everybody, students, staff, stakeholders, everybody cares more and performs better when they feel like they're part of something that's bigger than themselves. Last spring, with the help of our faculty, our leadership team, the SIC, and the Student Council, we wrote our core values, which are now known as our Jacket Pride. On Monday, the first week of school, we focused on the word P for positivity, and we were inspired by the words of Vincent Norman Peale. And we talked about what recharges our batteries and also what drains them so that we can try to stay away from that negativity and turn it to positivity. Tuesday, for respect, we did a respect bingo board throughout the week where students performed acts of kindness for others in our community, from cafeteria workers and other classmates to bus drivers. Wednesday, students learned about the word integrity by playing a game where they had to be honest and take responsibility for their actions. Thursday was a lot of fun as students dedicated themselves to building a tower out of paper that had to stay standing for 20 minutes. Friday, they were engaged in a game where they had to solve a riddle together as a class. I feel like starting the first week of school with this pride activity gave us a much more unified feeling in my classroom, and that's remained for the whole semester.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Brian Courtney, and I'm a first-year teacher at Fort Mill Middle School. I moved to Fort Mill on August 8th, the first official day I started my teaching position. Yeah, that was fun. Being new to the area, I had no connections, and the school year seemed daunting to say the least. Something that all the incredible people at Fort Mill Middle School stressed to me from day one was the importance of getting rid of the divide between school and home to create one big learning community. Early into the school year, one team of teachers took it into their hands to positively contact every single student's family with a unique message about some of the wonderful things that they noticed and were excited about in that child. Ooh, sorry. I know. There we are. Once they had done this, Dr. McQuay sent out a recognition email to celebrate such an amazing way to involve families. From there was a domino effect. Nearly every team of teachers has now contacted each one of their students' families. Some reached out via email, some reached out by phone call, and some even sent postcards. The reason this is so special is nobody was emailing parents for recognition. The email Dr. McQuay sent was more like a spark of inspiration. This wasn't a requirement that we had to fulfill. We weren't just checking off boxes, but rather we were trying to bridge the gap between home and school to let parents and students know that we're an extension of family, and we'll do everything in our power to ensure the well-being and success of all of our students. Since this wasn't required, there wasn't really necessarily a rhyme or reason to completing them. When I did it, I would just make a genuine observation about students, and when I did, I would draft an email as soon as I could. I even had about 3 sent out on the first day. Before long, not only had my teaching team contacted all the students' family, but I had personally contacted all my students' families. The outpouring of love and support I received back from families and my students was absolutely incredible, and we have a few quotes to share. Maybe. So the first one is, this is such an amazing email to receive. He definitely brightens my days, but it's a huge win as a parent to hear that he's brightening yours, so thank you so much for sharing.
And then one of my students came up to me, and he is sometimes considered the squeaky wheel. In his defense, I love him, he's great. But he came up and said, my mom was crying over your email last night. I'm like, why? What happened? And he said she has never gotten a positive email from any of my teachers before, and she thought I was in trouble. And that really spoke volumes to me and made a huge impact on me because he's been in our district since kindergarten. And I'm sure it's not true. I'm sure she's gotten positive things from other teachers, but it's been so long that she can't even remember that. So the way that it kind of brought joy to my life and their life at home was just a really good connection. And we have a parent here to talk with you guys about the impact that it had on her, Miss DeWall.
Thank you. I'm Christy DeWall. I'm a parent of a 9th grader at NAFO and then a 7th grader at Fort Mill Middle. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak about what makes Fort Mill Middle School great. I'm involved in the student or the School Improvement Council as well as the Athletic Booster Club. And while I know every school in Fort Mill School District is special, the experience we've had as a family is one that my kids will remember because of our administrators as well as the school culture. My son Ryder was a 9th grader at NAFO now. He was at Fort Mill Middle the past 3 years. His spring semester, 6th grade, was 2020, aka COVID. And then in 7th grade, he started school on the beautiful AB day schedule, but grateful we were in school, thank you. So in 8th grade, a new principal, Dr. McQuay, started at Fort Mill Middle School, and we immediately noticed a change not only in the school, but the culture and climate of the school. Up until this year, Fort Mill Middle School has been an overflow school. So it's been hard to identify a true jacket pride, as we like to say now. So with it being an overflow school, while it's nice to meet students from other areas in Fort Mill, we lacked a true identity. So that's where Jacket Pride came in, and being part of that experience as School Improvement Council was very important as a parent for me, and seeing it come full circle tonight. I didn't even know all that went on. It was beautiful. Sincerely. So they pitched the idea of these Pride Days to Fort Mill Middle School students, to the School Improvement Council last year, and then 2022, 23, this school year was the first time we had not had or hadn't been an overflow school. So this is the year that we have been truly, Jacket Nation and full of Jacket Pride. And so I feel like the timing was just perfect. Students and teachers alike have embraced this Pride motto this year: positivity, respect, integrity, dedication, and engagement. The signage around the school, along with the teachers reinforcing this initiative, has been a positive for many students who often do the right thing but are often overlooked because they fly under the radar. So not the squeaky wheels. My daughter Kennedy, a 7th grader at Fort Mill Middle, has a new teacher to Fort Mill School District this year for homeroom and for science, and you just heard from him, Mr. Courtney. God bless him because he has some spirited personalities in his homeroom, and 2 of those spirited personalities swam for NAFO this past fall as 7th graders. And Mr. Courtney, you heard, he moved in August 8th, started his job the same day, and then on the 18th, he was at their very first swim meet. That blew our minds. He had literally just moved in his house, started a new job, but started connecting with the students outside of the classroom, because in education, as you know, showing up for events outside of the classroom can often translate to the kids showing up for you inside the classroom. So, and my son's 8th grade teachers and football coaches, Mr. Corbin, did the same thing for him last year when they won the middle school soccer championship. Oh, God, I hate snorting. I'm so emotional.
We'll edit that out.
So, and then Mr. Courtney this year, he sent an email that made everybody cry, I'm sure. So he set up a Christmas tree in his classroom, and he asked for everyone to bring something that's reflective, even if they didn't celebrate Christmas. Bring something that's reflective of you and your family. And that's another way to connect that school home culture. So Mr. Courtney, I just got this from Walmart today. So here's our family card for you. Put it on express order for you. But Fort Mill Middle School reminds me of how I grew up in Durham, North Carolina. It is diversity at its finest, it's educators at its finest, and it's people who make the homeschool connection great for our kids. And now, welcome Miss Mapp, my daughter's amazing 7th grade counselor.
Good evening.
Okay, middle button, I don't know. Oh, there it is. Whoops. Okay, back. Okay. Good evening. My name is Lucinda Mapp, and I'm the 7th grade counselor at Fort Mill Middle School. Communication, self-advocacy, reflection, community, and responsibility are the themes that I had in mind when creating a temperature check for students to complete at the end of the first quarter. As teachers were giving students the opportunity to review their grades and assignments, I wanted to hear from my 7th graders about how they were feeling, what they liked about 7th grade, and what they are proud of this year. I shared the link to the new Fort Mill Middle School Guidance website, reminded them that I am here every day to support them, and gave an opportunity to ask for help, whether it be from myself or from their teachers. Out of 223 7th graders, 193 completed the temperature check, which was great. I read each response, and based on the results, I generated follow-up conversations, one-on-one counseling sessions, and student-teacher meetings with about 10% of my 7th graders that may have otherwise not asked for the help or support. This process worked so well at the end of the first quarter that I created a temperature check for the end of the second quarter with different questions, and I encourage my co-counselors to do the same for their 6th and 8th grade students. "Don't predict the future, create it" is one of the quotes that I like to share. It is a reminder that there is always opportunity. It comes with each day, each class, each student, and each moment that we are granted when working in our schools. At Fort Mill Middle, through our dedication to engagement and working together to make connections, we check in with students and help them set goals so that they are recharged and ready to start the next quarter. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Treva Hammond. I'm the literacy specialist at Fort Mill Middle. And at our school, we believe in the value of One Book, One School as a shared reading experience. We believe it builds community, allows us to connect with our students in meaningful ways. Our One Book, One School choice this year was Restart by Gordon Corman. Restart was the perfect book for us this year because it builds on the themes we've established for Jacket Pride, as well as our belief that this year is a fresh start. Restart is about a football player known as the school bully who gets a severe concussion after a fall from the roof of his house. As a result, he has no memory or recollection of all the horrible things he has done to his classmates in the past. He actually becomes friendly and wants to do good things for people. No one knows what to think about this bully turned nice. After completing 2 weeks of Jacket Pride kickoff at the beginning of the year, we introduced the book in a school pep rally. And there's our Fort Mill Middle School Actors Club up there, teachers. Not ready for primetime players, we called ourselves. And then we began reading the book each morning during Swarm for the next 4 weeks. Students and teachers read the book together each day and asked, does Chase, the main character, deserve a fresh start? Can people reinvent themselves? What would you do with a fresh start? So teachers continue now even to build on these discussions by including the book and its themes in their classrooms. In particular, our amazing football coach, Coach Hall, took the book to football practice, and it became part of the team's culture. But don't take my word for it. Let our 8th grade student athlete, Griffin McCain, share his side of it.
Hi, my name is Griffin McCain. I'm the quarterback for Fort Mill Middle School team. This fall, we read Restart. And for One Book, One School, this book is all about a star football player named Chase Ambrose, who is known for bullying and being rude to his other classmates. But he gets in a bad concussion, and that results in amnesia. He's forgot all of his past and all the horrible things he's done to his classmates. He tries to come back with a restart and be nice to all of his other teammates. He tries to show kindness and awareness to other students' emotions and tries to show that he can be different. It's hard for people to believe, and people are still scared of him because of his past actions. But people start to bond with him and show that maybe a real restart is possible. Coach Hall was our head football coach this season. He was a great guy. He brought this book into our season. He really used it even in real games. For instance, at the start of our Gold Hill game, we were at halftime and we were not playing as well as we should have been. He brought out the book and started labeling Chase Ambrose. He used Chase Ambrose as an example that a restart is possible, and that even though we didn't start that good in the first half, that the second half we could hit the restart. So he had us all press an imaginary restart button, and we came out winning that game. And one thing I think I could take away from this book is that you can't really judge everybody from their past, because what happened in their past you can't get rid of, but you can build on them for like what their actions do after their past. So I just want to say thank you for everybody, and thank you for having me out here.
All right, so thank you, Griffin. Hi, my name is Michelle Bridges, and I am the librarian at Fort Mill Middle. And so I get to talk about what we did to culminate our One Book, One School experience. And that is to culminate reading of Restart, and to build relationships among our school community, we had a literacy day at the end of October. So the students in each homeroom came up with a 20-minute activity in response to the book. Each grade level also had a theme that related to the book as well. For example, the 6th grade set up the Graybeard Hotel to represent the nursing home that the characters in the book visited. And then on the actual literacy day itself, students rotated around to the different homerooms and got to participate in the student-created activities that were led by their fellow classmates. So one example, a 6th grade class created trivia board games about the book, and they led other 6th, 7th, and even other 8th grade students through playing these different games. Another example, an 8th grade class was the football club, and they led other students through different football-related activities. And a third example, one 7th grade homeroom reenacted a fun car wash scene from the book, and students got to participate in reenacting that scene. Even the teacher got to go through the car wash and got totally soaked. Overall, the relationships built by preparing for Literacy Day and participating in Literacy Day were amazing. The kindness, joy, problem-solving, fun, collaboration, and physical activity that the students got to do that day were priceless and essential learning experiences.
All right. So we are just getting started. We're not finished. But you can already see that you've seen and heard some things tonight. Some of the positive changes that we have already put in place, and then we will continue to see improvements from those, I'm sure, for years to come. So typically it's adults that give students Jacket Pride tickets, but tonight our student is going to give you guys a Jacket Pride ticket since you guys were respectful and engaged tonight. So you were 2 of the core values while we were presenting. So when you guys come for your board visit in February, you can cash those in. I don't know if y'all are going to want chips and a drink or free sit in the cafeteria. I don't know, but we'll talk about that when you get here in February. But thank you guys so much for allowing us to be here tonight. It's been great. Thank you.
All right, so these have now become officially my favorite part of our school board meetings, but this is the first one that made me cry. Just for the record.
Maybe it was my idea to have.
That's right. All right, on to the business part of things. We do have one card for public participation, so I'll ask Keith Johansson to come to the front. There you are. Oh. If you'll just, when you get to the microphone, state your name and address, and then you've got up to 5 minutes to address the board.
This takes 4 minutes, 40 seconds.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, good evening. My name is Keith Johansson, and I live at 1515 Nicole Lane, Fort Mill, South Carolina, and I've lived in this area since 1970. My children and my grandchildren have gone to Fort Mill schools, so I'm pretty well embedded here. I am chairman of the board of Rolling Thunder, Chapter 1 of South Carolina. And first, let me state that we are not a motorcycle gang. We are not even a motorcycle club. The vest I'm wearing is the uniform we have, and it basically tells people of our life. Mr. Bolden did notice one thing, my nickname, Grandpot. It's P-O-T at the end. It's not what you think. I worked undercover narcotics for many years, and I was the oldest one on the squad. Now they call me Grandpot. So that's out of the way. Okay, we are Americans from all walks of life, and many of us are Vietnam-era veterans. Our major function is to publicize the POW-MIA issue, to educate the public of the fact that many American prisoners of war were left behind after all past wars. The reason I am addressing you tonight is to offer the Fort Mill School District a memorial chair for each of our high schools. Over the past few years, the United States has morphed into what we call a woke society, where everyone gets offended by everything, including the truth of history. This great country was built by patriots, warriors, and capitalists. We have lost focus, and our children don't know what it really took to build America and to have the freedom we have now. We are afraid to say what we really think and stand up for what is right and moral for fear of offending a small group that wants to drive us down a narrow path. But the true cost of freedom is buried in the ground in places like Arlington National Cemetery, Fort Jackson National Cemetery, and thousands of other places around the world. In 2022, Rolling Thunder and other groups like us were responsible for the return of the remains of POW, MIA, and KIA veterans. For those who are not familiar with those initials, they stand for Prisoner of War, Missing in Action, and Killed in Action. There were 17 brought home from World War I, 833 from World War II, 589 from the Korean War, and 803 from Vietnam. And that was only this year. This may not seem like much to some people, but imagine if this was your father, your mother, sisters, brothers, grandparents. Bringing their remains home means a lot. Rolling Thunder has a program to place POW-MIA memorial chairs in public places to remind people of the sacrifices they made. These chairs are permanent displays and have been put in very prestigious places in South Carolina, like Lander University, the Capitol Office Building in Columbia, the University of South Carolina Basketball Arena, and several other places throughout the state. Let's not forget those who paid the price so we can truly be free. The chairs are a place of reflection. This is one of our chairs. It's a portable chair, but we have others. Some people have told me that the chairs would be a target for vandalism because young people do not have any respect and are addicted to people on the internet with what they call influencers. Okay, this may be true and it may not. If it's true, we'll just have to deal. We will deal with it. Okay, but we are not going to be put aside by social media. The memorial chair should be placed in a prominent high-traffic area so that everyone can see it and take a moment. The chair will be roped off, and a plaque explaining the purpose of the chair will be put next to it. The chair will be empty and never sat in because it is waiting for the patriots that will never come home. Rolling Thunder chairs are suitable for outside, like football stadium, so it's a much bigger chair. It's a stadium chair. Okay? We have inside chairs and we have portable chairs. Okay? Rolling Thunder will also provide speakers to educate students about POWs, MIAs. Okay? And because my children and my grandchildren went to school here in this district, I want the Fort Mill School District to lead the way in South Carolina by putting a memorial chair in each of the Fort Mill high schools. The other reason why I'm addressing you today is that I've been told that the principals of our schools do not have the authority to create a display in their schools. So at this time, I would like the board's approval for the project and to find out who the person is that I have to contact to get this program rolling.
Thank you, sir. We will definitely let our administration discuss the matter and.
Oh,
see
there-
what can- Sorry, I'm over here
I
with
heard the
yeah.
speaker.
And
Yeah.
see what can be done.
I appreciate that. So with our closing, thank you for your time, and let's not stop until they all come home. All right?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Item 5, we've got the approval of minutes from November 1st and the 15th. I'll start with November 1st. Were there any adjustments or corrections to those minutes?
No, ma'am.
All right, those will stand as approved with unanimous consent. November 15th, any adjustments or corrections there? That was a short meeting, that was short minutes. All right, those will stand as approved as well. And then that brings us to staff reports, item 6.01. Ms. Lordo with some financial updates.
Good evening. Tonight in your packet, you have the October 31st monthly financials. The fourth month in this fiscal year, total revenues were $39,292,163. Expenditures, $54,542,996. So October is the month where we see the greatest need from a cash flow standpoint to go into fund balance. That's why we have savings right before the majority of our property taxes begin. So we were into our cash flow using fund balance $15,250,833. Very comparable with last year. It's higher, but we expected higher with the higher budget. Vehicle tax collections, once again, exceeded $1 million. I think this is our new normal. $1,265,000 in vehicle tax collections for October. And real estate taxes started coming in for those people who immediately paid when the bills went out. We collected $1,482,620, and our Act 388 Tier 3 money from the state began in October. Is the first month. It's 10 payments, starts in October, and that was $1,996,752. All of those are normal things that I would expect to happen in October. Do you have any questions about October before I go on?
No.
Questions?
No questions?
All right.
Okay. Impact fees collected to date, $54,701,208. We've collected on 2,036 single-family homes and 1,476 multifamily for a total of 3,512 units. In November, we had 14 homes, but we had 27 multifamily or apartments added. It was a month for apartments coming on. Interestingly enough, we talk about sort of the up and down with impact fees. In November, as far as collections, we only had 4 or 5 days of collections out of the month, but they were all large days that came in at one time, which I thought was interesting when I reviewed it. Comparable data for the rolling 12 months prior, we're still, for single family, about 39% down. Comparable, the most current 12 months compared to the prior 12 months. Apartments, we're still 86% over on apartments. So we're continuing to see that trend. The 2021 average was $800,000 a month. For November, we were slightly under. We were at $578,000 for the month of November to the average. As far as the impact fees that are sitting there, I'm happy to announce that the York County Council did pass second reading of our amendment to the Comprehensive Impact Fee Study at their meeting on November 21st. The final reading will be held on Thursday, December 22nd. And just as a reminder, this amendment adds new future schools to our plan, and it would allow us to immediately begin to use the impact fees for construction cost of one of those schools. So we're down to one reading.
Did you say what the collection amount is up to now?
$54,701,208. So almost $55 million.
Crested the 55.
Yes.
Not quite. Okay.
We might tomorrow if I get the report tomorrow morning. And for the new board members, I am linked in with the county. I receive a report every morning of what was collected on the prior day. And I've been tracking this as well as reconciling to the county. All the funds are kept in a separate bank account, earning its own interest. And the interest by law has to be used towards the construction projects once the money is released.
And something you said, but just to reinforce, what we're finding is that year over year, the number of homes, and therefore the collection for homes, is down, but it's way up for apartments and condos.
Correct. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, well, two things I want to mention. The financial audit has been completed. It has been submitted to the State Department to meet the December 1st required filing date. And we will provide the booklets are at the printer. We will provide those to you for your reading pleasure over the holidays. And David Phillips, who's a partner with Green Finney Cawley, our audit firm out of Greenville, will be here at your January 10th meeting to present the report and answer any questions that you have. Also that night, we will bring the two students who we selected their graphics for the report this year. They will be here to be recognized as well. Once again, Joe Burke and I were extremely impressed with just the great submissions, very talented students we have in the graphics area. So I think you'll be very pleased with their work and the one that we selected. So you can look forward to that after the holidays. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, Tammy Welch, our Director of Student Nutrition, was doing a dance in the halls and singing today. We had our largest ever day of meals served. Lunch meals served, 9,000 lunch meals served today, over 9,000 slightly. That was over 50% of our elementary students ate with us today. And I asked Tammy, did we have something unusual? I really thought she was going to say chicken tenders, you know that. But we had something very unusual, a new item, a unicorn sundae. A unicorn sundae, which is a cone, this is the way, an ice cream cone with low-fat yogurt and fruit. And that is what attracted the students. So Tammy and her staff are doing a great job, and they have even more new menu items coming. So.
When you say the largest day ever, even including when it was free for everybody last year? Close to
yeah,
it? Okay,
close,
maybe.
Close, close.
Wow.
Largest
Yes, yes.
paid day.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
We thought it was exciting. Yes. Any other questions for me?
For Leanne?
I've got a couple
Okay.
just for clarification. All right. We break down the revenue in local, state, and in federal, and then in the federal it's only the ROTC program as I see it, and
That's the only. That's the
General fund.
only general fund federal.
Exactly, that's why I wanted to bring
Correct.
that out. So all the other funds that we receive, which are minimal, are restricted funds.
Correct. Such as our other primary federal funds are Title I and IDEA for special services.
Right.
And then some other smaller ones.
And then as compared to neighboring districts, we're very small in that picture.
We are very small in that picture because it is all based on your free and reduced poverty levels.
Okay. To the tune of about 2.5 million versus 50-ish or 40-something million.
Or more,
Or more.
combined,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. Another question, legal costs, where does that get rolled up into?
Legal costs are under the school board,
Okay.
the Board of Education, and you don't see the account number codes. I started to tell you what the code was, but that wouldn't mean anything. It's actually on page 5 of the detailed general fund expenditure report under Board of Education Purchase Services.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
All
Okay,
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to a couple action items about courses. Dr. Wakesness, you going to do this? start this off?
I'm going to start it off and then hand it over to Mr. Scroggs. But as a reminder to our board, and I guess maybe not a reminder to our new members, each year we bring new courses to the board for hopefully for approval for our students. And Mr. Scroggs is going to talk about the details of how we come about the new courses and kind of the process with it. And then we'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Good evening. This is different than what we handled a couple of sessions ago when we looked at new course textbooks. So this is specific to new courses. We only really address this once a year. So this is a look at the new courses we want to add, the honors promotion of current courses to the honors level, and then every year by state law, we have to reapprove the locally board approved courses. So I'm going to walk us through that. First off, our new courses for the upcoming school year that we're proposing. It all starts with this process here. The discussion happens at the school level as the teachers, the content experts, are the ones who decide what we have a need for. And we talk about need and feasibility. How does it fit in? How will it affect other current existing classes? Because we don't want to replace a current class with something that doesn't add anything to our wealth, but we want to bridge the gap together. Then we look at new course proposals. So once there's some discussion at the school level, the teachers bring this forward and formally submit a request. Now, we ask that all these course proposals be the result of collaboration between the schools. So Nation Ford, Catawba, and Fort Mill all have to be on the same page in terms of we support this course. So then it kind of comes to the district level, discussion between district staff and the principals, and we talk about the feasibility again. How does this fit into our physical structure? Can we put this into our building? Do we have the supplies? Are we going to have the interest of the students and the FTEs to support the growth of this program? Then once we kind of come to consensus on that, curriculum work starts in terms of mapping out, can we get an articulation partner if it's dual credit? How are we going to be able to support this, and what budgets will support this? And then finally, we get to the point where we are tonight, where we bring it to you, a finished product saying these are the courses we're requesting your support for the following school year. So I'm not going to go through this very small fine point detail, but these are the course questions that any teacher has to review and provide a rationale for. So they are going to look at things like, again, need, feasibility, and how do we determine the need? Did you just have a passion for this course, or did you talk to students? Things of that nature. How does it fit in with the uniform grading policy? How is that going to work? And we look at, increasingly, we're encouraging looking at the profile of a South Carolina graduate. Does this further our strategic plan? Does this further our aims with the profile of a South Carolina graduate? So once they've proposed this, it goes to a committee of assistant principals for instruction and myself, and we review this. So the courses that we are offering for next year, bringing before you tonight, are AP Social Studies Preparation Lab, which is a really fancy term for pre-AP European History. Now, this is nothing new. We currently teach this course as a section of World History Honors preceding our AP European History course, but it's always been difficult because we have standalone World History Honors. So we want to differentiate this out, that this is the fall semester of our AP European class. So this is sort of a new course on the books, but it's something we've done for a length of time.
Is it an AP class, as in AP weighting, or is it a pre-AP class?
It is
an honors weighting.
Good question. It is a pre-AP class, so it'll be honors weighting in the fall, and spring will continue to be the AP course with AP weighting.
Just like we do with APUSH.
Yes, and this is very similar to AP U.S. History, AP Biology, how we handle those year-long APs currently. The only caveat to that would be like AP Chemistry has a Chem 2 honors in the fall. So this is just renaming that specific fall course associated with AP European History. Next, we have dual credit Media Technology 4. So we currently have Media Tech 4, which is our 4th level TV class. We have an articulation partner for this course to give our students the opportunity to enjoy college level weighting for the work that they're doing right now. So we partnered with York Technical College, had a meeting with their staff, and not only are they willing to articulate this credit for us, they've developed a whole pathway that if any of our students wish to continue on, they're going to be able to merge in pretty seamlessly and be able to pick up their 2-year credential a year into the path from what they've done at their studies at Fort Mill High School. Also, in the same CTE field here, dual enrollment mechatronics. And this is something that we have wanted to add for a number of years, and we found an articulation partner again in York Tech that's willing to prepare our students on things. It is something really neat they're looking at. AC/DC circuits and lots of complex circuitry things that they're going to be able to come out with some credentials from having participated in this program, and again, an easy transition if they wish to continue their work with York Technical College.
But done at the high schools.
So this is the difference between the dual credit and the dual enrollment. So dual enrollment, they are actually going to attend at York Tech and be taught by York Tech instructors. The dual credit will be our instructors on our campus. And then last but not least, this is a brand new, never before had class in our district, Foods and Nutrition 2. So we have a culinary arts program that traditionally students who kind of dabbled in foods and nutrition would just, if they wish to continue, jump to the culinary program. This is going to bridge that gap and say Foods and Nutrition 1, Foods and Nutrition 2 for those who may not be interested in being a chef, who may not want to go into that full culinary field. And some may take Foods and Nutrition 1, Foods and Nutrition 2, and can then continue on to culinary. So this is going to be a brand new course for us for next year. So I wanted to draw attention to, we did a lot of work trying to bridge, not bridge the gap, but rather provide our students a wealthy, enriched opportunity for dual credit courses. That's one thing we hear often. We need more dual credit opportunities. So these are what we worked with USEL to put together. Unfortunately, their timeline for approval is after this month. And with that being the case, that we have to bring it to you now so we can get our students registered for it. It's not necessarily going to line up for us to be able to offer all these next year, but we're looking at the 24-25 year, bringing all these courses on board. That's not a guarantee, but this is what we have worked with them to do, and this is what we're very hopeful that I'll be bringing forward to you next year to say that we're looking at dual credit chemistry and forensic science, 8 credit hours there, dual credit English, 101 and 102, and that stands a strong probability that we may even be able to get this approved in the spring, and we have over probably 500 seniors who would take that opportunity. If that's the case, I am probably going to bring that in front of you this year to say, I need special permission to get this on the table because this is such a rich opportunity for our kids. There are so many of our students that are hungry for this that we want to make sure that they have that opportunity to get this course. Dual credit government and economics. Dual credit intermediate Spanish. And what's neat about this is if you look at the numbers 209, 210, this is usually the capstone for college if you're not getting a minor or a major. So our students will be able to completely knock out their foreign language requirements in high school with 6 hours of credit. That's an amazing opportunity for our kids to walk out the door and be done with that in high school.
Well, and if they took the dual credit Spanish, they would actually have 12 credits in that language because
Absolutely.
They get 6 for the other and then 6 for the new, right?
So we do offer 2 courses at the 100 level, and then 2 courses at the intermediate level would satisfy most universities in the state. So they would walk out with 12 credit hours and have all those requirements behind them. The same opportunity in French. And then 2 more things. Even tonight, York Tech is really trying to beat the deadline. Tonight, they were working on dual credit graphic communication to give our 3rd level graphic students the program that's only offered at Fort Mill High School, but is very comparable to digital art and design at Nation Ford and Catawba Ridge, to articulate a dual credit weighting for the 3rd level, just like we have it in DAD 3. And then last but not least, Ms. Logan, our director of CTE and STEM, has been passionate about this, and Dr. Wakestis and I have been passionate about it as well, adding another CTE branch for our students, cosmetology. So many of our young people can explore a field that they are jumping into right out of college, but they could go and save money in the pursuit of a certificate. They can test it out and see if it's for them before they put down a lot of money on a certificate in a program. So we are very excited about the potential of adding cosmetology to our offerings in the future.
Is that one that would be done at the schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Probably some
Couple questions.
special labs required for that, I'm guessing.
Right.
Yes, sir.
A couple questions for you. So I know that you mentioned AP courses versus dual credit, and I know that you're trying to add more. Could you kind of share with the public that why would dual credits be important?
Okay, I want to answer this question. So if not too long ago, we did not have very many at all dual credit opportunities. We had a couple courses. So this is something we've been trying to add, especially with the it's the TLAP funds, it's the lottery funding from the state. If our students take at least 6 credits, so 2 college courses, they get these credits for free. So all these courses up here, once we get them in place, if a student takes, they're earning dual credit weighting for their high school transcript, and they're earning you see how many credits there for college for free. So such a wonderful opportunity, but we don't intend for this to completely replace our AP opportunities. We have a ton of AP courses. I think it's 23 different courses. I think they fit 2 different needs. I personally would recommend to a student, if they're looking to go to Harvard or Yale or some of the most selective schools out of state, you might want to stick with AP courses because they're more recognized on a national level. However, if you know you're staying in state, even at great schools like Clemson and USC and College of Charleston, I would say really consider looking at the dual credit because it's free. And it's college courses. They're guaranteed to accept those courses at our in-state school. So that would be my recommendation. But we don't want this to replace our AP opportunities because that's such a value for some students as well. So we just think this will be an extra add-on, an additional option for our students.
Thank you for that differentiation.
And I would add to that, and some out-of-state, I know personally some out-of-state colleges accept the dual credits, and not only did they accept them to give said student the credits, now being in the next level of that program
Right.
is knocking it out of the park. So not only was it the credits, but it was the appropriate readiness to go to the second year
Certainly.
level of whatever it was.
Certainly. And if a student takes advantage of all these offerings, I don't have it all added up, but they would have a lot of credits going into college that are already taken and free. I keep reiterating free because that's really important, I think.
Or plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continuing along, we look at our new honors courses. We only had 1 course proposed for the honors level this year. They have a rubric, if you will, that is a state mechanism for saying, how are we differentiating this for the honors level learner? So evidence of not just what do you currently teach, but how are we ratcheting up the rigor to make sure that this is something that is going to be worthy of honors level. The teacher has to put forward evidence of this. We weigh that and say yes or no. Our committee thus far has found in favor of Dance 4 being at the honors level. This is something that they have pursued previously, incorporating things such as research and design. So it's not just we're doing what we're doing and we want honors credit, but this is how we're going to differentiate that for the honors level learner. We're going to push them with research in the field. We're going to push them with choreography and design that is above and beyond what we're currently doing at the honors level. And then our locally board approved courses, the things that we have to bring before you every year. We have an ability, schools have the ability to approve these locally approved things, and over the years we've added them quite an extensive list. Local board approved courses have to come before you each year. These courses typically are elective courses. The state can approve any core course in addition to what we're doing, but these are the ones that we put before you today are all elective courses. And this is the full list of everything. Nothing is new to this year. Everything that we brought before you as a new course proposal is articulated through the state's traditional coding manual. So you'll see everything from like that very first one, pre-AP Bio, that's paralleled with what we're asking to do in AP European History. But the reason that's on this list, and I'm asking you to articulate the other without it being locally board approved, was they have added a state code for the pre-AP sections now. So we were doing that before the state had even come up with a code. So many schools were doing that. They've added codes to the coding manual.
Would we switch this one to a state-defined?
I think I could bring it to you next year and we could get it off this list if y'all wanted to tidy it up a
If there is
bit.
an official state version, I think it would seem to make sense that we move these to that list. And
Certainly.
only have the ones that are unique to Fort Mill on this list, but not critical today.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. So before I bring to you our official requests, are there any questions that we haven't answered thus far?
I have a question, yeah. So you mentioned that all 3 high schools actually have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? So with the cosmetology school, I think that sounds awesome. So if 2 of our high schools agreed and like 1 didn't,
Mm-hmm.
that we couldn't just do it in like 2 of them?
So it wouldn't. To be honest, with cosmetology, there is a competitiveness for the program and deciding who's going to get the program.
Okay.
So that's not a problem for us. But if there was a situation, and we have had courses before that are offered on one, and we shuttle over to those. So for instance, here, we probably wouldn't be able financially to start up 3 separate programs at 3 separate schools. It'd be similar to the way Auto Tech is at Nation Ford, a very awesome program, but very cost prohibitive to have at all the other schools. So we're going to create one really awesome lab and give our students the opportunity to shuttle over. And the principals have all kind of been notified that we're going to divide that equally into thirds as much as we possibly can. Maybe even consider another block of shuttle just to make sure everyone's getting a piece of that puzzle to do that.
Right, you just answered my next question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, distinction between all agree that it's needed versus offering it all 3,
Got it.
right? So it's I don't know how many there are, but it's usually first and fourth block are the ones that at the very beginning of the day, they go to the other school for that one class, and then go to their home school for second, third, and fourth, or vice versa on the back end.
Cool, thank you.
So thank you for listening to that. If there are no other questions, I tried to do Ms. Branning's job easier for her by kind of listing it out, the request that we're bringing before the board tonight in 3 separate things. The request to approve the new courses, the request for the honors level weighting, and then the request for the reauthorization.
You know, as y'all flew by, Michael, you one flew by the graphic communication. Did y'all mention that? It was on.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Like
I was
like
nodding,
digital
I
art and
guess.
design.
Okay. I was listening for that one, okay.
So for this collection, because this was where are we calling this 17 or are we calling this 24?
17.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I needed to verify.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sweet. Are you ready for me? All right, let's go. So I would like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration for 4 new courses to be introduced. Do you want those by name, or you just want me to say 4?
You're in charge.
Just say as presented.
As presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 4 new courses as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration for 1 new honors course as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second for 1 new course with an honors weighting as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration to continue with the 17 local approved courses as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to continue offering the 17 local board courses as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your support.
All right, we do have a couple of additional items. The next one is item 8, which is a report from the South Carolina School Board Association Legislative Advocacy Conference and Delegate Assembly, which several of us attended this past weekend. I got a couple notes that I'll share, and then those who went can add anything else you want. So just for background, School Board Association, South Carolina School Board Association is an organization that supports all 73 school districts in the state of South Carolina for things like legislative advocacy, policy making, state-required training, legal services, insurance, superintendent searches, et cetera. This particular session is held this time every year in preparation for the upcoming legislative session. So while we were there this weekend in Charleston, we heard from state legislators, state finance experts, federal K-12 experts on all the things that we are likely to see discussed in the upcoming legislative session beginning in January. At the state level, we all anticipate school choice, educational spending acts will be a topic of discussion, what form that will take, whether they will pass this year, how it may look, still to be determined. There was a fair amount of conversation about mental health and whether or not at a state level and an individual district level we have adequate resources as well as appropriate funding for the needs of our students. We talked a lot about how if those services can be offered in the school setting, that's how we can actually make sure that they reach our students, because if the parents have to take them somewhere after hours, after work, it is not as certain that they will receive the services that they need. There will likely be more conversation about the Parental Bill of Rights, and we heard earlier about the importance of communication and school-home relationships, and so what form that may take. And then, of course, the one that's near and dear to all of our hearts, the funding formula. As a reminder, we are under a budget proviso, so the formula that was new this year was strictly a one-year budget proviso. Don't have any idea if that will change dramatically, slightly, not at all, be codified into law. So that will be one I know Ms. Lorda will be watching closely. We did hear from Mike Shealy, who's one of our state economists, and the good news is that the South Carolina economy is very strong and likely to have another banner year. So there will potentially be funds available. Whether they will be provided and how they will be distributed remains to be seen. And then my only note from federal were a lot of things that they would expect focus on, like broadband expansion, student nutrition, and additional KATE expansion. So as we mentioned, we don't deal a whole lot with federal programs. The second thing that happens at this conference every year is what we call the Delegate Assembly. It's where across the state, all of the districts validate what we want our priorities to be for the year. There are some that are more important to districts like ours, like the continuation of impact fee legislation. There are some that are less germane to us, like the consolidation of small districts. But again, there's 73 different districts with different needs. And so we went through that, added a couple tweaks. There's about 30 of them. And then, last but not least, the state is organized in 16 regions. We are part of District 16. I know, but are there regions or district?
District.
It's region.
Region, okay.
I said district.
We are part of District 13, Region 13, that is the 4 Yorks plus Lancaster. We did elect a new region director, by the name of Scott Childress out of York, is the new region director for us that will be representing us. And then our one and only Ms. Branning was elected as the president-elect for the South Carolina School Board Association, which means that this time next year, she will become the president of the South Carolina School Boards Association. So we were very excited to see that happen. Yep. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So those were kind of my thoughts on what we discussed and how it went. I thought it was useful. Those of you who attended, what else would you add?
I had a great conversation with Mike Shealy, to your point about the finance and whatnot. It's going to be imperative that there's a lot of noise surrounding making sure that the hold harmless proviso that they put in retains and continues until they get sorted out how they're going to truly fund education from the state going forward. If you recall, and I know Ms. Lardo, we worked on this a lot, did we not? We were going to be impacted by that by $5.5 million. That's 80 teachers. To give kind of just a what does that really mean? Okay, $5.5 million. No, it's 80 teachers. That's more than an entire school that we were going to lose with this new state funding mechanism. So it's imperative that that stay in place. Mike Shealy has given me some contact people to reach out to and have good discussions with. Because of my activity at the state level, I actually was able to have dinner with some of our panelists and have some discussions with them, minus the 300 other people that were in attendance. So it was really great to get some one-on-one time to share with them kind of some of the things that maybe they don't hear from other districts as to what happens for us and in our district. Had a great conversation with regard to infrastructure, and while they're looking at ways to make improvements to some of the older districts in terms of older facilities and infrastructure issues, they're not the only ones that need help. And so there's some discussion and some assistance that's hopefully looking to come forward from some conversations and ideas that Ms. Lordo and I kind of brainstormed about, and we shared with some others, and it's getting some legs. So we're trying to discuss and show that fast-growing districts have equal issues as some of our corridor shame districts and districts that don't have the funding for their infrastructure, and to not forget about us just because we have a population and a community that appreciates education and rewards our district every time we go out for a referendum. So that's on the horizon, and more talking.
I think they gave some information I think it was very valuable that, of course, those that have been around a while have already learned and understand, but about how to relate with our legislators, those that impact us, that can control and impact these things. And I think that was very good information that they shared. Hopefully a lot of people took a lot from that.
Hopefully.
And there you go.
Y'all nailed it.
I was gonna say, Joe had his first opportunity to see
From
how
Jacob
this
from Firehose.
works, and and I think you would agree. It really resonates that there's 73 different districts in the state of South Carolina, and everybody has different needs. They don't all have the same issues. We've all got different challenges, and that's part of the challenge with working with our state legislators. Is what's great for one group is not ideal for another, and trying to make sure that they don't forget about districts that have our specific challenges, which are kind of unique elsewhere in the state.
And I think it should be noted that we are in a minority in our with our circumstances.
Right.
So when we talk about things like Michelle's talking about, a lot more districts have more building needs than we do, at least perception by the people that are down there making those decisions.
So that was
It's about lifting all and not bringing down the top.
that's right.
That's what it needs to be.
All right. Well, then you are up next with the superintendent's report.
Oh, my turn. Okay. Calendar of events, I believe, is the first item. Of course, the conference you just attended this past weekend, the school board meeting tonight, the 21st, which I believe is a Wednesday. Wednesday is a half day for students and staff into the first semester. Then we start the Christmas holidays and the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and the 2 weeks off that I hope everybody spends with their family and have good quality family time. We crank back up on the 3rd with the teachers coming back on a Tuesday. The 4th is the first day back for students. The school board meeting, the first one on the 10th, and I think we've already got some, Leanne mentioned the audit on that night. Dr. Martin Luther King holiday on the 16th. On the 18th, the principals meeting. On the 24th, that 6 o'clock for the school board meeting may not, that should be to be determined, because we typically do and Christy and I'll have to talk about it and set it with other board members. So maybe set aside the afternoon where we do a retreat and do some deep dive into some other topics, and may not meet that night. So I think last year we met from 12 to 4-ish, didn't have the night meeting, but the 6 o'clock may change on that. And then the end of the month is one of the 5 2-hour early release days for students, so teachers can remain for planning. Any other dates on there that I failed to mention?
Yeah, I was going to say, the winter holiday does not begin until after the 6 p.m. York County Council meeting on the 22nd. And then after the third reading, we can go celebrate our winter holidays, I hope.
Yes. And the COG is scheduled at the Gateway Center in Richburg on the 5th.
And that's for elected officials, I believe.
Correct.
That's typically what they...
Correct. It's a Lancaster, Chester, York County governmental
I don't think it's a public
thing.
You got to be an elected official, I believe.
Correct.
other nights, other days. Okay, my cheat sheet pad, here we go. Maybe I started out of whack. The enrollment update. This is one of those weird times of the year when we actually lost 2 students from one day in October to another day in November, but and I looked at and there wasn't really any, there were 9 at several schools. Sometime there'll be a reason, but it didn't appear to be any. I called some schools, it's just the way it fell this time, but probably January's meeting or the February report for January will show an increase there because of new kids moving in for the semester. The school monthly attendance winners for November, Fort Mill High School with 94.2, Springfield Middle 94.9, and Springfield Elementary 94.7. So the district winner would be Springfield Middle, if I did my math right then. No, did I do it right? Okay, good. I did it right. Okay.
Do we know, not to put you on the spot, do we have a lot of December graduates this year? Do you happen to know? We usually have, anywhere between 60 and 80. I didn't know. So the numbers may look a little out of whack when we come back in January because it looks like we lost a bunch.
I would anticipate the
Typical number.
I would say about 100, 120-ish. I think
Not
was
that
what we
many
had last year.
I don't know. Okay. I think that's everything. So we are in need of an executive session to receive personnel recommendations and discuss legal issues. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to go into executive session.
All right, we are in executive session. Thank you all. Have a wonderful holiday. If we don't talk to you again.